Have you been friend zoned by your audience? That's the question I'm answering in today's video. Now, how do you know if you've been friend zoned by your audience? And what I mean if you've been friend zoned? Well, even if you're getting clients, even if you're making money with your coaching business, there's still a chance that a big portion of your audience has friend zoned you, right? Or if not friend zoned you, you have a resonance issue with your content. And so typically when you're lacking lead flow, right, or you're a big audience and you're not getting as much as you want, or you feel you can get from it, you tend to look at all of the usual culprits, right? You look at your content strategy, look at your messaging strategy, you look at your freebies, you look at your offer, you look at your sales process, and usually, yes, there are things, very much issues and things that need to be changed within those, but when you fix them, do fix a big part of your problem. However, being friend zoned, having a resonance problem in itself is a separate problem and has separate solutions to all of those things that I mentioned, right? And the symptoms of a friend zone issue, are also different, right? So I'll list a few of them out for you. So number one, it could be that leads are saying to you, hey, I'm still thinking, right? So you send them your offer or you're in a conversation, they start to ghost a little bit, start to go a bit quiet, and they say they're still thinking. If we're being honest with ourselves, the people who are ready to buy, the people who know they want to solve a problem and they want to solve it now, they don't need to think, right? They don't need to think, they don't need to wait on things, they're ready to go now. So if you get to people saying that, sometimes, it's not even that they are needing to think, it's just a polite way to say, I'm not interested, or a polite way to say that I'm just not ready to buy from you. And again, that's a resonance or a friend zone problem, right? And they're kind of one and the same thing. Also, if you're hearing people say, I'm comparing what you offer with another coach, right? Or I'm still just in the market looking for the best option. Again, that's a resonance problem. It means that what you're promoting, what you're selling, what you're saying, what you're marketing is not speaking to the soul of that person. Again, the whole point and purpose of soul content, the whole purpose of making content that speaks to the soul is that when that person reads your content or hears or sees what you have to offer, in their mind, all they can ever think is, you're the one, you're the person I want to work with, not anyone else. And it doesn't matter what other offers I get or who else I see, you are the only person that I see myself working with. That's the whole purpose of soul content, and that's what resonance creates for you. It means that that person resonates with you more than someone else, and therefore the sale becomes much easier because they see you as the only option, right? And so that's, again, a resonance issue. Also, if you get a lot of your sales, this is something that a lot of people don't think about. If a lot of your sales, your new clients, come from followers who have followed you for a long time, then again, it points to an issue of friend zoning and or resonance, right? As in that your audience have seen you as just a creator, as a friend, as a peer, as someone on their level, for most of the time, right? And it might just be that you decide to run some kind of promotion, or you done a piece of content that you quite frankly got lucky with, right? Because it did resonate and that's why they reached out. But if the majority of your buyers are reaching out to you after a very long time of following you, you have a very clear problem with resonance, right? Again, your content is not hitting the mark. I look at it as when someone follows me, when someone finds me and follows me, like if they haven't bought something, or at least if they're not considering and showing signs of buying something from me within the first 1 to 2 months, it's not that person is never going to buy from me, but it becomes less and less likely that they will buy from me compared to buying from someone else, right? And you have to look at that the same as you. If all of your clients you're getting are, they followed you 2 months plus or more, there's a very clear issue with your resonance, right? And it's not a scalable business. If every client you're getting has to follow you for ages to be able to buy from you, right? There's a massive lack of scalability in that, and also ease, right? Being able to scale. Also, the final point is more of a feeling, right? And I remember feeling this, when I had 100,000 followers when I was growing the page. This is back in 2020, 2021. I got to a stage where I kind of felt a little bit trapped. In a sense that I was always making content, making offers, and it was always the same people over and over kind of reaching out. And I was always sort of asking myself, I'm growing my audience, but the people reaching out are always the same people. Like, am I ever going to be able to reach new people and get new kind of fresh blood, right, coming into the business. And that was always a struggle for me, back again, quite a few years ago now. And again, it's the same for you. If you find that, again, the people you are reaching out, people that are reacting tend to be the same people all the time, there's resonance issue and there's friend zone issue. And again, they are the same thing, or they can be the same thing. That's why I'm kind of using them kind of interchangeably here. And so obviously the natural question, next question is, okay, well, Harry, how do you create resonance? How do you get out of the friend zone with your followers? And actually, how do you take someone from being a new follower to then wanting to buy from you within a matter of 30 to 60 days? Now, I'm going to answer the first 2 points of that more in this video. And that final point, I'll do put a separate video on it because there's a bit more to it. So resonance and friend zone, how do we get out of that? How do we create resonance and get out of the friend zone with our followers? Number one is you want to try not as hard to be likable and relatable. There's a very big trend right now of like personal branding. And it's been around forever, personal brands and the whole personal brand space. It's always been a thing. But even more today, you see a lot of creators, especially up and coming creators, sort of bang on about personal brands. Now, a big part of personal brand, and what is obviously taught, is to be vulnerable, is to, share your life and to do those types of things. And that is good advice, right? 100%, it's good advice. I teach it, I recommend it, I try and do it myself. But there's a very fine line between sharing stuff that is important, sharing stuff that actually is impactful and does create resonance and actually it actually applies to the people you're trying to talk to and the people that you want to buy from you. And there's a line you can cross and you just become too much of a friend, too much of that guy, he's so funny, he's so cool, that girl, I like her so much. You again are a business owner. You're not trying to be an influencer, right? And so there's a very big difference between an influencer who, quite frankly, wants to be liked by everyone, right? That's just what an influencer is. It's their job to be liked by everyone. The more people that like them, the more money that they make. But as a business owner, that's not the same, right? The more people who like you, that doesn't mean more people buy from you. Typically, it's the opposite. The more people who like you, typically then the sales you'll get will go down because like does not equal sales, right? It's just a case of you don't need to be someone's best friend. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, of course, they need to like you to the extent of you as a person, your values, they align with you, all those types of things. But again, there's a fine line between speaking in a way that positions you as just someone else on their journey on Instagram, right, online, or position yourself as an authority who resonates with someone to the point where they see you as someone that they want to work with and buy from, right? There's a complete difference there. And so it's a good quote from it's Grant Cardone who said it. And I mention this quote and I always have to say, I don't like the guy, right, at all. But this is a great thing he said. He said, look, I'm not trying to be liked, I'm trying to be known. And I think that's such a good piece of advice because it makes you understand that being liked, being known, again, they're two different things. And being known is how you get clients, is how you turn followers into buyers. Being liked is how you be an influencer. That's how you get a hell of a lot of followers, but you don't get the buyers that come with it. I don't know if you're watching this video, you're not trying to be an influencer, you're trying to build a serious business where people pay you money and you get paid to do things you love doing, right? And so don't try too hard to be likable. Just say what you think, be who you are. I know it's a little bit wishy-washy, but it's just kind of like a reminder more than it is a lesson. Just kind of say what you're thinking and don't really give a shit what people think, pretty much. The second point is what I like to call the comfort line pyramid, which kind of links into this. But it's all about details. Now, resonating with someone, if you're going to tell a story, and this isn't necessarily a story that's like a personal story, it can be like a business-related story. What happens is we tend to shy away from details that we may think work against us, right? So, for example, I like to speak a lot about how I built a big audience, 100,000 followers, but I couldn't sell shit, right? I tried selling a $50 coaching program. I had a good group of people sign up, but like, I was making 1 to 2K per month off 100,000 followers. And it's like, for me, that's really embarrassing to talk about. That's just one thing, right? There's other things that I mentioned. And the whole comfort line pyramid is the idea of, I could speak about that and I could say, yeah, I had 100,000 followers and, I wasn't really scaling as much as I wanted to. So I made a few changes and now I'm a millionaire, right? and I kind of miss out some details. And when you resonate with someone, it's because you're sharing beyond the comfort of what you want to share, right? And so for me, and so for you, you have to ask yourself, and imagine sort of like a pyramid, and in the middle of that pyramid is like a red line, and that red line is your comfort line, right? In terms of what you're comfortable to share in your content. Now, most of us create way below that comfort line, right? And so what it means is that your content gets likes, it might get shares, it might get, the odd lead, the odd opt-in that kind of comes through. But the actual leads you get are kind of very surface level. They are sort of still curious. They're kind of scoping at other coaches, other people. Again, there's a lack of relatability and resonance there. Once you get closer to that comfort line, once you go beyond the comfort line, you share details that you personally feel uncomfortable sharing for whatever reason, that's when the type of leads you get completely changes, right? That's when your audience starts to see you as less of just some other guy, some other gal posting content online, and more of an authority, because you're sharing the details that other people aren't willing to share, right? And that's what leadership is all about. It's going beyond the comfort line, it's going beyond the boundary of what other people are willing to do. And when you do that, people naturally gravitate towards you. And again, they see you as authority. They see you as someone that they aspire to be like, or they aspire to work with, kind of in some way. Just because you go beyond the comfort of what you would normally share, right? And you'll see it, honestly, it'll be like an instant change. If you ask yourself right now, what is the most uncomfortable thing that is relevant to my audience that I can share, but right now I don't want to share because I'm scared of X, Y, and Z happening? I promise you, if you make a piece of content today, tomorrow, and you post about it, it will probably be one of the highest engaged, but more importantly, the type of engagement you get, the quality of the engagement, and if it is then linked to something you sell, the quality of lead you then get from that, it'll be like completely night and day from what you're currently getting, right? So massive, massive thing, share beyond your comfort line. Number 3 is to try and stop, this is a more of a tactical one, try to stop using words when you're describing a situation and actually describe the word, right? So for example, when you're in your content, you might say, you're not scaling your business, or you're not doing this because you always procrastinate, right? And because you procrastinate, this problem happens, and then you get this outcome and blah, 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 right? So their problem is procrastination. That's what you're trying to say. You're trying to make them aware that their procrastination is what's stopping them from getting to their goal, right? Now, the word procrastination, everyone has a different understanding and definition on that word. Everyone labels that word differently. So what I believe is procrastination for me, someone else sees procrastination as something else for them. Now, what makes it even worse is that some people will procrastinate, but they won't even accept or believe that they do procrastinate, right? So as soon as you use a label, as soon as you use a word, you have to then understand that you're only going to tap into a segment of the audience that understand what the word means and actually believe and relate to that particular word enough to resonate with the content. Otherwise, again, it's too surface level. So instead of saying, hey, you open up, you sit down to make some content, but you end up procrastinating for 20 minutes and you get nothing done. Instead, you say, you sit down to, make some content, within 5 minutes, you're on your phone without even realizing it, you're doom scrolling on the Reels tab, you're saving ideas from your favorite creators, and suddenly your content plan that you had made last week has gone completely out the window. You're second guessing what to post, so you end up just copying the most recent trends, schedule it, and hope for the best, right? Can you see the difference there between just saying the word procrastination and actually then describing the actions of what procrastination is for your ideal client, right? So you switch that out, and again, immediately the resonance in your content increases massively, because now you're describing someone's situation better than they can describe it, right? And that's, again, a massive part of taking someone from seeing you as a friend to then seeing you as an authority. It's resonance, right? The resonance is what is that bridge between friend zone and authority. Resonance is what does that, right? Resonance in relation to, again, whatever it is you're selling. Now, the final point, because again, there's tons I could do, but I just want to keep it to 4. The final point is you must be very strong, very direct in your ideas and your opinions in your industry. Again, it's a pretty popular piece of advice. Again, I'm not going to act like that's anything brand new, But I think that because it's popular, because people say it often, people don't take it as seriously. Or again, based on the comfort line idea, you share ideas, but you don't share them as strongly as you could do. Now, when I say you share them strongly, I want you to imagine, something you feel very passionate about, right? Whether that is, again, business related, whether it's personal, whether it's social, emotional, whatever it might be, but something you have a very strong opinion on. And that if someone with an opposite opinion tried to, argue with you, right? I want you to imagine what would your reaction be and how would you argue back, right? And when I say how, I just mean not necessarily what you would say, but I mean how you would say it. What's the energy you bring when you get into an argument with someone about something you're very passionate about, right? Or if you're in a debate, or if you're trying to explain something to someone and it's not, it's not getting through to them, and you're trying to hammer home the idea. What's the energy you bring when you're trying to share that idea or that opinion that you have? And what happens is typically we filter ourselves and we try to stop ourselves from being that direct, from being that strong, being that clear in our opinion, in our idea. And again, the reason why we do that, it's going to be different for everyone. And a lot of it's subconscious. A lot of it is you actually are worried of rejection. You're worried that people are going to debate you and sort of say you're wrong or whatever. And then therefore you just don't do it, right? But again, the stronger and clearer you are in your language and how you deliver your message, the more impactful it is. Because again, it's not the idea or the opinion itself that matters. It's the certainty, it's the conviction in how you say it. That is what has the impact. That's what creates the resonance, right? So it's like if you're trying to get an idea across, but you're essentially pussyfooting around it, right? And you're trying not to offend anyone, no one takes you seriously, right? So it's why you have people like Trump, for example, again, very divisive person, but it's why he has been so successful with, becoming president and everything else, because he just says what he thinks and he says it how he wants to say it. He doesn't change how he says things for other people. He just says it how he wants to say it, right? So it's like his ideas, his opinions aren't necessarily massively different to what someone else's ideas and opinions are. But because of how he says it, and he has no filter on how he says it, it has much more impact. And therefore, the resonance he has with his audience, with his followers, with people who voted for him, is much higher, right? And people see him as the authority because he's willing to say the things that the followers are not willing to say out loud. And that's why people follow you. That's why people see you as the leader, because when you share your ideas and opinions, but you share it in a way, you say it in a way that other people aren't willing to do, that's how you get seen as the authority, right? And so ask yourself, what are those ideas you have, the opinions you have on your industry that maybe go against the grain, maybe go against common advice? And ask yourself, how can you take a stand? How can you make that very clear what your opinion is? How can you then promote that and talk about it freely in the most unfiltered way possible? And again, when you do that, you'll be very, very surprised at the impact it suddenly has on your quality of leads, the lead flow itself. People then see you as like, again, this is my person. This is the one person I want to work with because they get me. They understand me. They want to work, and they want to work with you because they see you as someone who mirrors their reality. You mirror their thought process, right? And that's who you want to work with. You want to work with someone who gets you, who understands you, who aligns with you, who you resonate with, right? And so all of these things combined together. Again, it's not the complete playbook. It's not going to solve everything, but it's a starting point, right? And so you implement those 4 pieces of advice. Like I said, you definitely will see a big, big difference in less friend zoning, more resonance, therefore higher quality leads. People coming to you, see you as the only option, right? And ultimately, people respect you much more, right? So if you have boundaries on deadlines or prices, or whatever, you get less like price shoppers and discount seekers and freebie people. You get less of that. People who respect you, people who want to work with you, and people who follow up with you to work with you, right? If you don't message for an hour, they follow up with you and say, hey, what's going on? I want to work with you. They're essentially throwing themselves at you, right? A little bit crass, but you get the idea. That's the power of it. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully that was useful. If you want to learn a bit more about how you can build your authority, scale your online coaching business without having to do more, build more funnels, sell more offers, do it a simple way, but in a more impactful way. I've got a video linked down below in the description. Go and check it out. It explains a bit more about what I do, how I help people. And of course, if it's relevant for you, you can then reach out to me and work with me. And if not, you can watch a valuable video either way. So yeah, appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.